Okay, picture this. Imagine our entire world is one giant piece of music, this huge symphony that everybody knows by heart. We all know the tune. But then, what happens when a single, totally new note shows up? A new vowel note. And that, right there, is what we're exploring today, the wild and often really tough journey of a world-changing idea.
And that leads us straight to the big question, doesn't it? If these new ideas, these new notes, have the power to create something incredible, why is our first reaction, almost always, to just shut them down? Why do we cover our ears before we even give them a chance to play? It's a really human thing to do, and we're going to try to figure out why. So to really get why the new is so jarring, we first have to appreciate the old. Let's think of the status quo as the old score. It's the music that's always been played, it's familiar, it's super comfortable, and, for the most part, everyone knows their part. I mean, the difference between the two is just night and day. The old score, that's stable, predictable, harmonious. It's our collective comfort zone. But then the nouvelle note arrives, and it feels completely alien. It's disruptive, unfamiliar, maybe even chaotic. It doesn't fit. It honestly sounds like a mistake. And that's exactly why it's seen as a threat to the harmony everyone knows and loves.
All right, so if these notes are such troublemakers, where in the world do they even come from? This gets us to the spark of creation itself, the origin story of an idea that has the potential to rewrite the entire score. You know the image we all have, right? The solitary genius slaving away in a dark room and then, bam, a lightning bolt of inspiration hits, a eureka moment. But is that really how it happens? Is it really the work of just one person totally cut off from the rest of the world? Well, the reality is way messier, and honestly, a lot more interesting. These new notes, they usually pop up from collaborative sparks between people, or from connecting two seemingly random ideas. Sometimes our whole environment shifts, and it forces us to think differently. And yeah, sometimes it's just a lucky accident. Like the discovery of penicillin. It's almost never about being alone. It's always, always about connection. And this, my friends, brings us to the real heart of the drama. Once this new note is born, it doesn't just get a seat in the orchestra. Oh no, it has to fight for its place. This is the sound of conflict. It's that moment when the new, dissonant sound clashes with the old, established harmony. And the first reaction is almost always just dismissal. It's not seen as some brilliant new direction. It's just noise, an error, someone playing way out of tune. The system's first impulse is to correct it, to silence it, and get right back to the music it already knows. Just look at the scale of that challenge. It's a true David and Goliath situation. The forces of resistance, we're talking inertia, tradition, just plain old fear of the unknown, they are massive. They have all the power. And compared to that, the little forces pushing for change, a bit of curiosity, a little bit of evidence, they start out so small. It is a huge uphill battle just to be heard. Now, the ultimate victory for our little nouvelle note, it actually has a name. It's called a paradigm shift. And this isn't just about adding one new note. No, this is about changing the fundamental rules of music itself. It's what happened when we went from thinking the sun revolved around the earth to knowing it's the other way around. It's that incredible moment when the old score gets torn up and a brand new one is written with our new note right at the center. So how does it get there? An idea can't just create a paradigm shift all by itself. How does a single lonely sound become this powerful growing crescendo? Simple. The idea needs to find its choir. This path to acceptance, it follows a pretty clear pattern. First, the note is born. Then, and this is absolutely crucial, the first followers join in. These are the brave ones, the people who hear that noise and think, wait a minute, there's something beautiful in that. They start humming along, and their voices build momentum, which attracts more people, until, boom, a full-blown chorus is formed. And you know what's wild? There's kind of a magic number for that chorus. Research shows that once an idea gets adopted by about 15% of a group, it can hit a tipping point. That's the critical mass it needs to stop being some fringe concept and start its real journey into the mainstream. That's the point of no return. So you can see the whole journey here. It starts as just this quiet, tiny sound. Then it finds its first followers, and you get a small, tentative harmony. It hits that tipping point, and suddenly it's a rising crescendo that's impossible to ignore. And finally, it just becomes the new mainstream. It is the new score. Which brings us to our final act. The battle's over, the new note has won. This is all about what happens next.
when the music itself has been permanently rewritten. That sound that was once so jarring, it's resolved into a beautiful new harmony. The nouvelle note isn't radical or strange anymore. In fact, it's not even new. It's simply part of the music. A whole new generation is going to grow up thinking it was always there, unable to even imagine the symphony without it. And that whole transformation is captured perfectly in this quote from Victor Hugo. An idea whose time has come is an unstoppable force. It might start as a whisper, as a dissonant note that nobody likes, but once it finds its choir and hits that crescendo, no amount of resistance in the world can silence it. It becomes the new reality. So, we'll leave you with this thought. Now that you understand this incredible journey, now that you know the score, what are the dissonant notes in your world? In your job, your community, maybe even in your own life? What new note are you listening for?